Welcome to this session. In the recent days, last week or so, this week, my wife and I have both gone back to the old frequencies and done some work that has been amazingly successful. She's been coping with fever, extremely low energy, needing a lot of sleep. She spent the better part of a day with the frequencies. It's over. Energy's fine. Fever's gone. I was having real problems staying awake during the day, and suddenly, that was yesterday, I did the frequencies. I'm alert. Not a problem. They work. People have asked me for them. I've been very reluctant to give them away. They've asked how they can get them, what expert I went to. I didn't go to any expert. If there is one out there, I can't afford to pay him or her. I bought a little frequency generator from a good manufacturer. I followed their directions and put it on my computer. I sat down in front of the computer and I said, well, what frequencies do I use? And I started slowly typing and checking with my body using a strength test. Any of the standard ones are fine. By now, we have been using strength tests for so long, it's part of our lives. I recommend it. But the body approved of them, and I created a huge collection of them. That was in 2003, 2004. The question is obvious. Where did I get them? I asked one of my friends, and he said, well, God gave them to you. I'm not an expert in this territory, but it's hard for me to believe that God works this way. So I wasn't satisfied. I just asked, and there they were. Let me make a suggestion of what I think is possible. Suppose they're not a secret. But suppose that in order to receive them, you must be willing to sell to whomever has them that they would like you to have them. It would be better for them. Does that make any sense? Let's try an example that means something for me. It's the asbestos again. Now, certainly the asbestos was a problem for me all my life until I found the frequencies. Is it possible that I was able to go to the asbestos within my body and say, if you would give me these frequencies, we could create a relationship that would be better for both of us? And I encourage you to consider the possibility that you might be glad if you did it. Now, I did have one advantage. Maybe it's an advantage over you. Because I did this around 2003, a little earlier. I was senile. It was really obvious that a whole lot of the normal ways of my body were breaking down. Not just one of them, but all of them. And that I wasn't going to live very much longer. I mean, senile people don't. And so it wasn't very difficult to convince my body or any of the things in it that if they wanted me to live, they were going to have to do a little help. Now, does this apply to you? Well, I don't know. Are you in danger of dying? Are you that far gone? I was. And I have to honestly tell you that if somebody had walked in saying this kind of stuff to me, 10 years prior to that, I would have laughed them out the door. I would have said, I don't need you. I'm healthy. And of course it wasn't really true, but I didn't know it wasn't true. So, if this sounds a little nonsensical to you, that's a familiar point of view to me. I literally had to come pretty close to dying before I was willing to accept that I was willing to consider changing these habits. Who am I? 10 years before, the asbestos was just there. I lived with it. I was okay. Well, I wasn't okay. I couldn't really even run. But I was okay. Those were my habits. You leave me alone. Is that sounding familiar? Well, when I was about to die, people were more willing to listen, and above all, I was more willing to listen. My definition of myself was that I was ready to change. And so, when I asked for the frequencies, presumably the asbestos could say, I'd love to give it to you. I want you alive. It makes sense. In any case, these frequencies were given to me. My guess is the transaction was literally that. They wanted something back. They wanted me to use them. And they wanted, on the basis of that, for me to create a new life in which my relationship with them was friendlier and better for both of us. That makes sense to me. Call me crazy, but I'm alive. And they work. So it's real simple. If you want to use frequencies, change yourself into a person who can really benefit from them. Set up your computer so you can use them. Sit down in front of the computer and ask. Talk to you later.